Live at the door. All right. All right, you're good. You go inside. Good morning, everyone. I have the distinct pleasure of talking to Jason from fucking Cult Therapy. Everybody, how you doing? How's your afternoon going?
I'm doing great. I'm actively skipping work to be on this, so I'm in a great
mood. What work are you skipping right now?
What's that?
What's your job?
Oh, I'm actually a design engineer.
Oh, what the fuck? Explain that. Go. Let's go into that.
Yeah, I guess I started 20 years. I've been doing this for fucking 20 years, and it blows my mind.
Shit.
But yeah, I use a CAD program, and I design stuff, mostly on the tooling side. I used to design big machines and robots and things, and now I design molds and work mostly as like a consultant, which is pretty sweet. So
that's tight as fuck. I only know one other person that like designs stuff, and he's an old friend in Minneapolis. So hearing that is like really, really cool. Like you get to flex like lots of weird parts of your brain by not only doing like cool records, and then also you get to like build like really weird machines and robots and molds and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and actually it's pretty cool because there tends to be like a lot of musicians, at least that I've come across in the engineering field, and that's how I've been at the company I'm at now for 10 years, and I literally got the job because on my resume I played in a band, and
what?
And the manager also played in like local bands when he was younger, and he's like, he just got it. He's like. And I will still like insist, like if you've ever been in like a touring band and any part of the DIY, like that should speak for itself. Like if you ever come across anybody else in any field who also has some similar experience, they're like, oh, this dude fucking gets it. They're a hard worker. Like you have to work hard.
Well, like let's see what can you pull from like, all right, if you put in your resume like managed a DIY band, did 2 LPs, where it's like, okay, cool. So that means you've done at least like 3 years of something where you've managed. Like, there's so much to pull if you say that you were in a band for like your resume and your job. More people should fucking do that.
Yeah, you're working with a creative team.
Yeah,
You are to make something and reach goals like.
Oh my God.
It's everything from managing social media to ordering merch, coming up with designs, to booking shows, to coordinating events, to like it.
Oh, dude, there's so much it's so good. You're so right.
To play in a fucking band, you're doing it all already.
Yeah. Yeah, and like it's more people. I think that is going to be something I'm going to post about a lot more, is if you are in a band, you need to be putting that on your fucking LinkedIn. Like, just go ahead. Just fucking go ahead. Put it in your resume.
Okay. I know most people are probably like embarrassed or whatever, but
no, dude, fucking own it. I think if there's one thing I do, like, as someone that's like literally like in between jobs right now, like I've been putting band stuff kind of in front, mainly because like I'm applying for like stuff. I come from like a tech background, so I've been was recently laid off, so I'm like, well, now I have the kind of chance to like, maybe what if I could like work in like tech music things, something like that, and trying to find like a little space there. So I've been like adding my band stuff and the podcast stuff into this whole thing. So that's been kind of like actually helping me. And so bringing this is like really timely, or this is so interesting that like, yes, 100%, like this is a huge plus to your resume or to your like job search or the real life side of this thing that we're doing, that the band does most stuff from your life goes into your band, but your band can like bleed into your life in the positive way that way too.
Yeah. Also, like, watch me get fired.
Yeah.
Well, once they find out that I'm doing a podcast for my band.
Yes, true. No,
on
and
the
like it
clock.
is not. Yes, 1,000,000%. Okay, well let's fucking dive into this record, huh?
Sure.
So like it's Get Fucked Sinner.
Yeah.
And it's so this is, I'm guessing this is not your first kind of go around with making music.
No, it's not. It's my first go around with this band
Okay,
and my
cool.
first go around in a number of years. But no, I've been doing this. Like I said, I just turned 40 back in October, and
Mhm.
I've been doing music of some sort. Well, and playing in bands. I toured when I was in my late teen, early 20s, and yeah. So no, it's not my first go around.
Well, let's kind of go through like the lore. Let's like dust off the tomes really quick. So you started doing stuff in your late teens. Are you a music theory guy? Or are you like just self-taught? Like,
No, I am completely self-taught, and I don't know
cool.
shit. And I
Awesome.
get made
Fuck
fun of
yeah.
it for it, but I don't. It's just the way my brain operates.
Hmm.
So yeah, no, I started playing guitar when I was 15. I started my first band at like 16, just getting like high school friends together,
Fuck yeah.
and then I mean, super shitty, all of it.
Yeah, no, it's
Um,
good. I always like to remind people I was in a band in high school called the Fedoras. So like whatever bands you guys had in high school, it will never be a worse name than the Fedoras. So like like straight up like everyone's high school bands are great and perfect.
yeah, I yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
Yes.
I was very fortunate at like a very young age, like to just by chance, like well, I guess there's like two things that really introduced me into like the music scene. One was I went to church, and I happened to go to church with Matt Goddard, who was the bass player in Chiodos.
Yeah, absolutely.
um, and so like him and I bonded at church because he played in the church praise band and was wearing a little MXPX button on his like guitar strap.
Shut
And I was
up.
like, I like MXPX. And he's like, yeah, but have you checked out this band? And he pointed to the button below it, and it was Saves the Day. And
Oh, tight.
so I started listening to Saves the Day like instantly. And then I wanted to, like record my music. And then I was still in high school, and someone's like, one of my friends was like, well, I babysit for this guy who knows this guy who has a studio over like in Flushing. And right now he's on tour with Weezer and Saves the Day. Do you know them? I'm like, fuck yeah. And so
Yeah.
like I need to get in with this guy to record. And mind you, I still don't know jack shit about
Mhm.
music, but I happened at a very young age to get in with Mark Hudson, who has run front of house for Saves the Day, Taking
Mhm.
Back Sunday, Thursday, like all of these bands that I loved when I was in high school in the I guess early 2000s, and from the ground up just like taught me how to like be in a studio, like
Mhm.
how to write music and all of it. So yeah, fast forward 20 years later, when I got Cult Therapy together, I was like, you know what, I'm proud enough of this to like take this back to Mark and work with him in the studio. So
Full fucking circle.
yep, yeah.
Incredible. I love that. Was there something specific about Mark that like outside of the narrative of like closing that loop, what were you looking for from Mark for like on a production level, on recording and everything? Like, was that the person you were like, were you just trying to close the loop, or were you just trying to like make sure that you had like the best team possible?
um wasn't No, I was just trying to close the loop,
Hell yeah.
honestly. Like this record is big to me for so many reasons. One of those reasons, my dad passed
Hmm.
away in 2020,
Hmm.
and a lot of the record covers the subject of grief.
Hmm.
And my dad was like my biggest supporter. Like he would pay for my studio time with Mark, and like pay for my he would help front money for my bands at all points. And so like to me it was like, you know what, I want to go back to the studio with Mark, but this time I want to pay, and
Hmm.
I want to show myself that I can do it myself. And so
Fuck
so
yeah.
yeah, it was really closing the loop.
Yeah, I mean, there's something about like, again, the narrative of like personal lore where I wonder when I get to those points where I get to see how many times I get to close that loop and feel that shoestring go through like all those different little points where so this record is, first of all, it's incredible.
Thank you.
I haven't listened to anything like this in a long time, since listening to like it feels like a resurgence of like early cursive, that weird indie stuff. Like it was, what would you say it was like, you know, the big draw to the sound you're doing, which is, it's very specific. What were you listening to while you wanted to do this? What were your inspirations?
I was listening to a lot of '90s music, specifically the Toadies. I don't know if,
Yeah, sure.
like when I started this band, I was like, I want a band that I can just be loud and yell, because that
Hmm.
was something in my previous bands I hadn't really done. They were more like folksy, like
Sure.
so yeah. I just wanted something where I could like yell and pop off. I had, you know, cult therapy is the name. I should mention too, I grew up in like a religious cult,
Okay,
and then
we'll get into that.
yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things here. So I think I forgot your original question. I'm sorry.
Oh, it was I think I heard religious cult and my brain just fucking wiped.
I know it. Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So it was what were you listening to? Like this sound is so
Oh,
specific. Yeah.
yeah, a bunch of '90s stuff. Toadies, Nirvana. I mean, just like your Tops of the Trees, like basic, a lot of
Rock
Pavement,
bands.
a lot of rock bands. My favorite band growing up was Everclear, which I
Perfect.
usually get made fun of a lot for that. But
No,
then,
dude, I still listen to Father of Mine like at least once every other couple of weeks. Like it's still like I love that band.
yeah, that was the first song I learned how to play with like a band in high school.
Fuck
Like
yes, dude.
it was like, yeah, it was one of the first things. So there's like a soft spot for, I should say, early Everclear.
Yeah, totally, totally.
And then, but I was also like, COVID had hit, and I was just like really hopping back into music after being away from it for so long, because of the whole church thing.
Hmm.
Um, and so it was a combination of like the early stuff, like the shit I would listen to as a kid in my bedroom, in the late '90s, early 2000s, and then I was hearing all this new to me stuff for the first time, like Pup,
Hmm.
um, and then like Wednesday. I fucking love Wednesday.
Sure.
Home is Where, and then revisiting a lot of bands too that inspired me locally and came through like the Flint music scene, like Greet Death.
Oh,
Um,
and there are two new songs that have come out. Or that's I can't stop listening to them. Like this
I
next
know.
record's gonna be so
I just
fucking good.
listened to them today. Yeah, we actually got to play with them last December, and that was another
Fuck
full circle
yeah.
moment, because when I was trying to like do music at an earlier stage, one of my first shows was with Pines, who is now Greet Death. So
Hmm.
yeah, I feel like I'm just closing the loop on a lot of things, but those
It feels
are for
nice.
me some of the sounds behind the record,
Yeah,
for me personally.
I
And
think
then
that
everybody,
makes a lot of
all
sense.
the other members add in their stuff as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's I think that you know this most recent record, this record is like it's so unique. You have interludes, you have like stuff where it's like I mean the content is just like I think that's what we should probably just dive the fuck into. Uh,
Sure.
the content. Let's just kind of walk through the culty stuff, like that. Let's give like the whole story of what's going on here.
Yeah, so I mean, I grew up, and when I say cult,
Mhm.
it's probably not considered a cult to most people, but
Sure,
my therapist agrees with me that it was pretty culty.
sure.
um, so, I mean, I should say from birth, my dad was a Baptist, kind of backwoods church.
Mhm.
And then, I mean, and not just that, but then really migrated to um, some other churches that are kind of all in the same realm, like Church of Christ, which is just even further like off the map, which is also what my my partner Jess grew up in. She plays the cello in our band, which is why we get a
Cool.
lot of cursive um, comparisons.
Yeah, totally.
And then went to, like later on, like a mega church that didn't look like the churches that I grew up in, but then found out it's just as fucking like this, like them.
Totally.
And so, yeah, this record, I mean, and writing about your religious trauma isn't like a new thing.
Hmm.
Lots of people have done it. I mean, I mentioned Toadies, like their first record, Rubberneck, that resonated with me so much because his dad was also a pastor, and there's all kinds of his upbringing buried within that record. So yeah, for me, I mean, I don't know what part of the baggage you want to get into, but
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
specifically to this record, I want to say identity is like the main thing. And like I left when I was 35,
uh-huh.
36, somewhere in there. And when you leave something like that, you kind of get ostracized from it.
Sure.
So you lose family, you lose friends, and then you also don't really fit into the real world yet
Yeah, it's
because
like
you're
I
still kind
completely see
of
that.
weird. And so, yeah, it's a lot of finding identity in a real sense, and then just like internally, like realizing at a later age that like I think I'm queer, and uh, and what a mind fuck because I'm a full blown ass adult with three teenage boys at this point, like
Totally.
um, who has done like a full family like life, and then to like figure out who you are on top of like raising them and everything else. It's a lot.
Yeah, what would you say is like, the through line of like why so all right, the distance between this band and your most recent musical project?
Say that again.
Oh, what would you say? All right, so like the before you started Cult Therapy, what were you doing? What were you doing musically before that?
Oh my god, I was playing in a praise band at church.
And how old were you?
Oh, that was in my late 20s, 30s, early 30s. So like, yeah. So in high school, I played in a band. We traveled all over. And it was like
Yeah,
before social media. You toured with a binder full of MapQuest maps.
totally.
Because
Yeah.
and so I had that whole experience, which was awesome. But at the same time, I was going to like a religious cult where um, heavily involved in the Church of Christ, and the Church of Christ musical instruments are not allowed.
Oh,
Um,
interesting. I never knew that.
and so like yeah, to be in a band, our ministers, because they're not called pastors there, they're called ministers, specifically said you can do this, but you cannot mention Jesus or God in your music, because if you were to lead somebody to Christ with a musical instrument, you'd be leading them straight to hell and under false pretense.
Whoa, that's so weird.
Yes, so weird. And so I think we left that in, I got married super young. We left that in 2012, and then joined this mega church where we could play instruments. And so about the time we started having kids around 2008 or so, like I kind of gave up on my own personal music career.
Okay, cool.
I had kids, time to settle down now, fun's over,
Yeah,
travel's
you probably
done.
went to school, like did the whole thing. You were going to church. You were just kind of like that whole like standard default cookie cutter life, right?
Yep. Yep, I thought it was done. At one point, I sold all my music gear. I'm trying my best to go in chronological order, but it's hard. So like,
Yeah.
then I joined a church with this big giant praise band, and um, my wife, she started playing cello in it like right away just to get assimilated into, and I was still like, I don't know if we can, like, I don't know how I feel about that, like biblically, like all this
Sure.
bullshit. And then I did join it, and that kind of like scratched the itch of performing in front of people, because you got to perform in front of crowds spoiled like crazy because we used in-ear monitors, played to a click track,
Yeah.
um, and all these things. And then I guess it's two separate stories, but as we got older, I mean, just from a personal standpoint, I went back and I listened to, because we were playing not just Sunday mornings, but maybe 4 or 5 times a night, and
Yeah, with
at a
probably with
number of different
every
churches.
service, and then probably the multiple times a week as well, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
because the church we were going to had multiple locations, so we played multiple events, played in
Wow.
prisons and jails, like. Um, yeah, I got exposed to a whole lot of stuff. But then there was one Sunday morning where, not Sunday morning, I guess, but I was listening back to Sunday morning and I realized that my guitar wasn't even turned on or going through the mix because they kind of deemed that I wasn't good enough for my
Oh,
guitar to go through the mains.
weird.
Yeah. And they really only wanted me in the band because I appealed to a certain demographic they were trying to reach.
Oh, weird religious marketing.
Yes, it very much religious marketing. Yes. So the bigger the church got, the more that took over, and I was like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I actively again sold all of my gear and started over from square one. Like bought, I like everything about, and all of this resonates like into the record. Like I played a
Yeah.
guitar that I never played before. I played a style of music that I had never played before. I inverted worship chords just to say the ultimate fuck you. I inverted worship songs and some of these songs and the lyrics. And then yeah, I used pedals. Like I will never ever touch a dotted eighth delay again in my life.
Funny. That's oh my God. It's
I will
funny.
never do it. I can't. I have trauma from a dotted eighth delay of doing that stupid fucking YouTube or not you that YouTube sound
Yeah, oh my
like the
God,
edge.
for sure. It's funny you bring up this weird thing where there's this guy online. He's in this band Camp Trash. His name's Keegan, and he's kind of not necessarily prolific, but he's like really online and does written a bunch of articles. He's a writer. But what he did, one of this things that he did is he'll if you take a picture of your pedal board, he'll tell you
Oh my god, I can do the same if it's a religious pedal
if
board.
it's a
I
religious
laugh
pedal
so
board or
hard every time
not.
I get on Facebook Marketplace and I see a pedal board, like the whole thing. I'm like, this person quit church, and I know. Yeah, dude, I can tell instantly just the way the pedals are arranged and what they fucking got on it.
That's
It is,
so funny.
yes, it is so easy to spot.
What are the key components of a praise band pedal board?
Um, a very, very transparent overdrive. I mean, it's kind of like your standard. It's a compressor, it's a transparent overdrive, a little less transparent overdrive.
Yeah.
So like a morning glory. Oh, and like the church, like you spare no expense for the Lord. So they have like the nicest fucking pedals too. Like,
Oh, that makes sense.
yeah. So yeah, compressor, transparent overdrive, a little more overdrive, uh, and you can really tell by the reverbs and delays. Like they're going to have Strymon pedals on it. Like,
That's so good.
um, yeah, it's a must. Um,
The I like that, when it comes to your music knowledge, it comes from like this weird praise band stuff, and also that the stuff that you listen to during the time where you were like out of like the punk band thing and doing this thing. What were was there anything about listening to music that was against the religion? Were you still participating in the music that you liked?
no. And
Hmm.
I didn't even go into, I mean, I might venture out of the house to, see some of my friends that I made in my early years of music, some of their new bands, but by and large, like, um, it's not that you couldn't make friends outside of the church, but you really couldn't make friends outside of the church.
Sure. It was like there was no
So like
no, but it was
I
like
would have acquaintances, but I wouldn't make any close friends, and I would just kind of isolate. And also, like I was in a praise cover band essentially,
sure.
So I tried to immerse myself in so much of that music, which was just fucking painful because none of it.
It's just, it's
None
very
of it's for
simple.
me.
No, and like, was there, I mean, there is great praise music. There's great worship. There's great, there's, as someone that I guess I was religious with my family until I was like 13. My parents made me like, I was like Christmas Easter Christian,
Oh, sure. Yeah.
classic, like, yeah, get baptized. You go to church with your family until you're like, before high school, and then it just drops off. And then same thing happened with my family. My parents like stopped really going as well. So like I know I used to play, guitar at like my the teen version of like the church thing, like whatever. There's like
Sure.
I'm not even sure what like those things are called anymore. But it's like I know there's some interesting good church music, but there's just so much more, and I can't imagine having like the bridge or like pulled up or so that you can't explore that stuff. That sounds so
Yeah.
crazy to
What I
me.
did was I lost any license to be creative.
Totally. I
Like,
mean, it kind of seems like the point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was, no, it was frustrating. I
Yeah, I
mean,
can only imagine. I mean, it's frustrating enough for you to make a whole record about it. And it's
yeah, I mean,
incredible.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot of that angst in the record for sure.
The moment that you wanted to, participate in a new trauma, which is like uh, leaving, there obviously all that trauma that you were, receiving while you were in it, and then like having to pull the scab off and like do the whole thing. What was it like diving back into music that ended up making you go, I want to start another band?
Um, just to say fuck you. Like they
Mm-hmm.
had like literally like you're not good enough to sing, you can't have a microphone.
Mm-hmm.
That was from day one.
Yeah.
And fair point. Some of these singers were phenomenal. They were really good.
Totally.
Like I'm not going to argue that. Like I am not I don't know music theory. I don't know what key my songs are in. I don't even know what chords I'm playing. I'm one of those assholes. But I don't. Neither does our bass player, and I think that's why we write music so well together. Our
That's
drummer
fucking
doesn't
awesome.
either. Like,
You guys are just playing music, and this is like important to you.
yep. And then having my guitar turned off, like,
Yeah, that's
and
such a
just
slap in
being
the
that
face.
like piece, that tool. So yeah, there's a lot of like, you know what? I'm gonna get my own fucking microphone and I'm gonna do it myself. And I probably have had a little bit of that like personality. Like I think I've always had that.
Hmm.
Like I'm a pretty quiet person and I get along really well with everybody, but like the moment where I feel like I'm outed or can't do it, nope, I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Yeah, I think that I think that is kind of like, um, uh, there is. I'm not sure if I've talked about this in the podcast before, but I talked to this guy who said that there was what? No, I didn't talk to this guy. I saw a clip of this guy on like TikTok or something, and this guy was at the Oscars and he was at the Grammys, and he said at the Oscars it was really interesting because everyone there is just like a puppet and just like follows instructions, and you say one thing, everyone say jump up, everyone jumps up, everyone sits down, everyone sits down. You say stay quiet, everyone stays quiet. But you go to the Grammys, you can't do that because it's a room full of the most disobedient people in the world. and
Sure.
and I really agree with that in the music aspect of it, where like there is this weird disobediency, and where the people that make it in music are just the most disobedient out of all of us that just decided to say fuck you to everything, and
Yeah.
to have your record be like this massive, just like, I mean, was making this record in a way therapy for you?
Oh my God, yeah, and in so many different ways. So yeah, there's the whole religious aspect, and then I was also so I guess when I lost my dad,
Mm-hmm.
who was a pastor, also my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
and um, he died of an opioid related overdose. I found him in his apartment. I actually had like nightmares of like finding my dad, and then the
Mm-hmm.
nightmare became reality, and I found them.
Oh my God, I'm
And
so
so,
sorry.
yeah, so there was that experience of losing my dad in a traumatic way, and then I lived with that for like close to a year, where I'm like, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Hmm.
Um, and then I I there's a point, and it's actually one of the songs on the record, called "I'm Fine, Everything's Okay." But in the choruses, I'm just saying "fuck you, fuck you, fuck me, fuck you,"
I
and
love that song.
yeah, well, that song is about losing my dad. First of all, "I'm fine, everything's okay" were the last words my dad spoke to me.
Okay.
Um, and then there was one day, where kids are back in school, wife is off to work, and I'm just like home alone. And I just caught myself staring in the mirror at myself, but looking at all like my facial features that match my dad's.
Hmm.
So like I'm looking at like my dad, looking at myself, but I'm looking at my dad in the mirror, and I'm just saying, fuck you. Like, fuck you for doing what you did. Fuck you for this. Fuck you for that. Fuck
Hmm.
you for leaving. Fuck me for going along with it. And then like there was just all this anger there. And then I was like, maybe I should, go to therapy.
So, um, you're working with an exposed nerve.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty crazy. Does
Yeah.
it feel like making this record was like not necessarily closure, but like, did it help at all? Do you think?
Oh no, it's extreme closure, all of it.
Cool.
And then super cathartic also. Um, so I guess where I was going with that story is not just like losing my dad
Hmm.
was bad enough, and then going to therapy, which I needed. I went to exposure therapy where I had to like recount finding them and all the because I wasn't aware that I had PTSD,
Sure,
uh,
absolutely.
but I did. And then um, speaking with my therapist, she's like, "Well, is there anything else traumatic in your life?" And then I was like, I brought up another situation that I didn't even think was traumatic. And then my therapist started crying, and it's really bad when you make your therapist cry.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Holy
And so,
shit.
yeah, I like learned that I was abused as a child. And so that's in the record as well. And then not just like abused, but not given the tools to like tell anybody. Like when you're in the church, like they don't tell you what to do. You're told from a very young age that you're born evil,
Hmm.
and if nobody tells you how to report anything or share anything, then you never learn it, and you just kind of go through life thinking like, well, maybe I deserved that. Maybe I was bad. Maybe God doesn't love me. I certainly don't want to go to hell, so I like doubled down into being even more obedient.
Totally.
Um, so yeah, wrestling with concepts of that, and then wrestling with concepts of being called queer and faggot my whole life. I probably even
Totally.
shouldn't have said that word, but like that was a reality for me growing up. And then yeah, and it wasn't until like after my dad died, after leaving, that like the curtain came down, which is scary. And I
Totally.
just
It's
like
its own
started
trauma in
like,
itself.
what is my life? My life is weird. It's
Hmm.
crazy. Um, and then yeah, I started writing songs, and it's not like I sat down and it's like I'm gonna write an album about it. I
Yeah,
just
totally.
that was just like the subject matter that came up, and the songs that were picked for the album were the songs where they all fit that theme. So
Yeah.
it made sense to put them together as a collection, rather than split them apart.
So let's kind of go through like that part of so you started writing songs. It had been a long time since you've been in a band, and this part of and like this, I mean, you kind of allegoried it in the cave and stepped outside, and said, instead of like looking at the shadows anymore, you're looking and like wanting to step outside. And you were like 35 at this time. It's been like, that since then.
Yeah.
They when did you decide that you wanted to make this a band? What was it like finding members? Like, were these people that you've known for a long time? Other people that had like exited the same kind of thing?
No, they actually weren't familiar with the church experience in the same way I was, except for my partner Jess.
Sure.
She definitely has her own baggage, and then when we started the band, she's like, I don't want to be a part of it. Like, I don't want to. I just like that part of my life is over, and I want to leave it over, and I don't
Totally.
want to. And I also totally get that. But then like we went into the studio and we recorded 4 songs as an EP just to like have stuff out there to book shows.
Yeah, totally.
And then my partner Jess, like she doesn't give like a lot of compliments on music. So like if I can impress her with something, I feel like I've done it. Like she's
Totally.
like my biggest critic because I'm kind of a dreamer in all things. And she keeps me realistically grounded. And when she heard those 4 songs, she's like, "This is good enough to tour with."
That's fucking
and
awesome.
and then she's like, "I want to be a part of it." And I was like, "Cool," because I've been begging you since day one to join my band. Um, but yeah, finding the other members. Our former, I started just like getting out of the house. I love the sport of hockey; it's my favorite sport, and a group of people that I had known from the music scene started this like punk rock, like street hockey thing in Flint. And I was like,
That's
I'm going to
sick.
go to that because not really knowing anybody, but being somewhat familiar with them just from being in different bands and stuff.
Totally.
Um, and then just from that started asking around and finding musicians.
It's kind of exciting. Did you feel like um that this as it became more real and more real, like what was that feeling of like, hey, I like when I was starting a band and when I've talked to other people that starting a band, there's kind of like this uh there's almost like hesitations and like I almost got kind of scared of even like following through with everything. Like
Yes.
it kind of weird to kind of say, oh man, I guess this is getting real. Like what was that like?
Yeah. So I will say like all these songs are super vulnerable.
Yeah.
Um, and there is nothing like more scary and more vulnerable than to showing them to like your friends and like this really small little group of musicians that's going to be a part of your band
Totally.
because you don't know how they're going to respond to all of it and they all loved it. So that like put my mind at ease and um still like when people like yourself, you don't know me, but you say you love the record.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fucking awesome. But like I like the most praise that I feel like I've gotten for this project are the people who knew me, like, and thought like, there's Jason, he's kind of weird in this like church thing, but let him be him, you know?
Yeah.
And then seeing me after, like, dude, you're a different person. Like, and but then also like having some of those bands of musicians like that I grew up with and kind of like were inspired by those people in our Flint has like a pretty crazy music scene.
Totally.
Um, Not as much as it was in the past, but yeah, getting
Michigan's all
feedback
over the
from
place right now.
them. Yeah, yeah, I think Michigan's a great spot to be.
Yeah, straight up. Like I think that the music scene in Michigan is like everything Great Lakes wise right now is like been pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah, no, very fortunate to get connected with the guys at Pleasant Underground who put on a bunch of our shows and Pugfest and
Pugfest is so
like
cool. It would be such a like I think whenever I hear that, I'm always so mad that I live in Nashville that I can't like go and make up that fucking trip. It'd be so cool.
yeah, it's a good time. It's real fun.
That's so sick.
Yeah, the guys who run it, Ian, Kyle, and Doug do such a great. It's like it's fucking hard work to put on a fest, and
Yeah,
they're
dog.
stressed to their core every year with it. I feel like, but they do such a great job, and it's just like people who just fucking love music.
Hmm.
And to me, that's why, like, when I first saw them in their own bands and putting together shows, like, that's the kind of people I want to work with. Like,
I think that's just kind of the point of the whole thing, especially this whole DIY thing. It's just like there's something it's intangible. It's just like once you know that you're in it and you start recognizing people and they start recognizing you and you start talking to everyone and there's just this weird moment where you're like, oh, I really am feeling like a part of something. And
yeah,
maybe it's like, you know, what it felt like going to church. Maybe it's just like that whole thing. It's just a brand new fucking community.
dude, that's exactly where I was going, because I kind of lost all my community, and at the
Uh-huh.
same time, like, on top of work, I was putting in like 40 to 50 hours into the church per week.
Yeah, wow.
And so, and then, like, I was in like, I like, yeah, um kind of embarrassing, but like, that's life.
Yeah, totally.
And then also, like, I feel like making this record, I'm making the most of a shitty situation and turning it on its head. And the number of people who come up to me and say, dude, I grew up in church, thank you so much for writing this, like, this means the world. Because I think there's so many people in that space who grew up in that and are kind of ostracized from their families,
Mm-hmm.
are kind of the black sheep, or if they were really in, then they really have no community until they find it on their own, which is what I had to do. So circling back to like Pugfest guys, is like, no, I'm gonna get involved and help out at Pugfest. Like, I don't have anything to do anywhere else, and like, I want to get involved in music. So just start going to shows and like helping out.
I
You
think
know?
that's exactly what it's about. Like it's about lifting everybody up. It's about again, this community is incredible. And those guys
Yeah.
that run that are like so cool. And I think that it's like you get to kind of be like this weird bat signal for people that have gone through the same thing that get to have like this weird audio like escape plan. Like it's there's
Yeah.
this really fascinating story that you get to tell that everyone kind of can relate in like their own weird ways for the people that have, you know, left a crazy church environment like that. That's it's
Yeah.
so cool you get to do that for others.
Yeah, and I think the songs also resonate outside of the church world for people who
Yeah,
didn't grow
yeah,
up
they resonate
in
with
it. Like,
me.
if they're, anybody who looks inward and is like, looks at their own identity, or is dealing with grief, or has
Mhm.
dealt with grief, like, this record is for you. Like, it's not, I would say, like, I mean, everything has like religious undercurrents to it, but like, therapy and drugs, like, that song's more about finding my dad and
Totally.
going through like the processing of grief, and on the surface level saying, I'm fine, like, I, I'm okay, and then underneath, like, I am not okay at all.
Yeah.
Like I
Uh,
am masking pretty hardcore.
so I wanted to play a song from y'all. So what song from the record would you like me to play? We're not actually gonna play it. I'm gonna edit that out. But
Sure.
what song would you like to have played?
um Damn.
There are
um
11 good ones. They're all great.
I know, but they all sound kind of different. So it's like, if you're
Yeah.
only listening to one song, I mean, I'll just say, "He Loves Me."
Loves
Um,
me?
yeah, "He Loves Me." Born Evil.
Okay, cool. Sick. Okay, here is He Loves Me by Cult Therapy.
He loves me not. Why do I play these games with a fake God in my brain? My self-worth is tied to the opinions of my parents' friends. From when I was the trophy kid, just be good and obedient, yeah. I want to run away from me. I want to get away from the thoughts in my brain. not sit with my shoulders up straight. I can't find the fucking strength. I'm so broken down. I'm done, yeah. I want to run away from me. I want to get away from the thoughts in my brain. 'Cause I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm not safe. I'm not safe from me. I was told I was born evil. I was told I was born evil. I was told I was born evil, and sometimes that's all I believe in. I was told I was born evil. I was told I was born evil. I was told I was born evil, and sometimes that's all I believe in. I was told I was born evil. I was told I was born evil. I was told I was born evil, and sometimes that's all I believe in. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I want to run away from me. I want to get away from the thoughts in my brain.
All right, that was He Loves Me, Born Evil by fucking Cold Therapy. Dog, Jason, thank you so much for fucking hopping on here, skipping work. And your story's so cool and interesting, and I hope people really like. I think people are really going to enjoy this record. It's fucking awesome. So thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, cool. I'll talk to you later, big dog.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks again. See ya.